The Xinthian patrol cruiser had been tracking the small human vessel for 3 orbital cycles. When they finally disabled its engines near the asteroid belt of Sector 7, Captain Velrix couldn't contain his satisfaction. Humans were rare catches this far into neutral space, and capturing one would bring considerable prestige. What they hadn't expected was what else they'd find aboard. Commander Aaron Locke stood with his hands raised as 6 Xinthian soldiers stormed his cargo hold, their plasma rifles trained on his chest. He didn't resist. His eyes remained fixed on the small containment pod behind him, where soft whimpering sounds emerged from within the shadows. "You are far from your territory, human," Velrix hissed, his scaled face gleaming under the harsh lights. "And you carry stolen cargo?" Aaron's jaw tightened. "That's not cargo. That's a child." Velrix gestured to his subordinates. 2 soldiers approached the pod and peered inside. What they saw made them recoil instantly. Huddled in the corner was a juvenile apex, one of the most feared predator species in the known galaxy. The cub was no larger than a human adolescent, its silver fur matted and dirty, its 6 eyes wide with terror. "An apex cub," Velrix breathed, his voice a mixture of horror and fascination. "Do you have any idea what you've done?" "The apex sovereignty will burn entire systems to recover one of their young." "I know exactly what I've done," Aaron said quietly. "I saved him." The Cubcore, as Aaron had named him, pressed himself against the back of the pod. His small claws scraped against the metal floor. Despite his species' fearsome reputation, right now he was just a frightened child separated from everything familiar. Velrix's calculating eyes shifted between the human and the cub. This was more than a simple smuggling case. This was a galactic incident waiting to explode. But it was also an opportunity. If he delivered both the human and the apex cub to the proper authorities, his career would soar beyond imagination. "Take them both into custody," Velrix ordered. "Separate containment. And send a priority transmission to Xinthian Command. Tell them we have a situation that requires immediate." The communications officer's console erupted in warning signals. "Captain, multiple ships dropping out of faster-than-light travel. Distance, 50,000 kilometers and closing." Velrix's scales paled. "Apex vessels? Negative, sir. They're human." The viewscreen activated, revealing a sight that made every Xinthian on the bridge freeze. 30 human warships materialized from the void like vengeful spirits, their hulls bearing the insignia of the Terran Defense Coalition. But they weren't alone. Behind them came hundreds more frigates, destroyers, cruisers, and support vessels. The scanner counted them as they emerged. 50 ships, then 100, then 200. 300 human warships, arranged in perfect battle formation. "This is Captain Sarah Chun of the TDC Resolute," a voice crackled over the open channel. "You are currently holding Commander Aaron Locke and 1 Apex juvenile under unauthorized detention. You have 60 seconds to release them both, unharmed, or we will classify this as an act of war and respond accordingly." Velrix's claws trembled on his command chair. 300 ships, for 1 human and an alien cub. It was madness. It was impossible. It was very human. "Captain Chun," Velrix managed to respond, his voice strained. "We had no knowledge of Commander Locke's importance. We were merely investigating suspected smuggling activity. We meant no offense to the Terran Coalition." 45 seconds. In the cargo hold, Aaron heard the countdown through the ship's internal speakers. He glanced at Core, who had crawled to the edge of his pod, sensing the shift in the atmosphere. The cub's 6 eyes met Aaron's 2, and something passed between them, an understanding that transcended species. 3 weeks ago, Aaron had been on a deep space reconnaissance mission when he'd intercepted a distress beacon from a destroyed Apex merchant vessel. Everyone aboard had been killed by pirates, except for 1 survivor, a terrified cub trapped in the wreckage. By all logic, Aaron should have left him. The Apex were not allies of humanity. They were neutral at best, hostile at worst. But when Aaron saw Core cowering among the bodies of his family, he hadn't seen an Apex. He'd seen a child who needed help. So he'd taken him aboard, contacted Apex Space through every channel he could find, and begun the long journey to return Core home. That's when the Xinthians had intercepted him. 20 seconds, Captain Chen's voice continued, now edged with steel. Velrix made his decision in an instant. "Release them! Now, all personnel, stand down and evacuate the cargo hold immediately." The containment fields deactivated. Aaron moved quickly to Core's pod, opening it manually. The cub bounded out and wrapped his forearms around Aaron's waist, trembling. Despite being a member of a species that would grow to be 3 meters tall and capable of tearing through starship hulls, right now Cor was just a scared child clinging to the one being who'd shown him kindness. "It's okay, buddy," Aaron whispered, gently stroking the cub's silver fur. "We're going home." Minutes later, Aaron and Cor materialized on the bridge of the Resolute via emergency transport. Captain Chun, a stern woman with iron-gray hair, looked down at the unlikely pair and allowed herself a small smile. "Welcome back, Commander. I see you found what you were looking for." "And then some," Aaron replied, as Cor hid behind his legs, peering out at the new humans with cautious curiosity. Behind them, through the viewport, the Xinthian cruiser was already accelerating away at maximum speed, desperate to escape before the humans changed their minds. 300 ships, Captain?" Aaron asked, raising an eyebrow. "Isn't that a bit excessive for one commander and a lost cub?" Chun's expression turned serious. The whole fleet was already in sector for exercises when your distress beacon activated, but even if it had just been my ship, we would have come. "That's what humans do, Commander. We don't leave our people behind. Not ever. Not for anything." She looked down at Cor, who was gradually emerging from behind Aaron's legs. "And anyone under a human's protection counts as our people, even Apex Cubs who are far from home." 2 days later, at the edge of Apex sovereign space, 3 Apex dreadnoughts met the human fleet. The exchange was brief, formal, and heavy with unspoken emotion. When the Apex matriarch saw her grandson alive and well, she knelt before Arin, a gesture no human had ever witnessed from an Apex warrior. "You protected our blood when you had no obligation to do so," she said, her voice resonating like distant thunder. The Apex do not forget such debts. As Cor reluctantly left Aaron's side to reunite with his family, he turned back one last time. His 6 eyes met Aaron's too, and in that moment, a bridge was built between 2 species that had never truly understood each other. Later, aboard the Resolute, Captain Chen asked Aaron why he'd risked everything for an alien cub. Aaron's answer was simple: "Because he needed help, and I could give it." "Isn't that reason enough?" Chen smiled. "For a human? Always." And somewhere in the vast darkness of space, 300 warships turned for home, their crews knowing they'd just participated in something more important than any battle they'd ever fought. They'd proven that humanity's greatest weapon wasn't their ships, their tactics, or their stubborn refusal to surrender. It was their refusal to abandon those who needed them, even if it meant facing down an entire galaxy to do it.